Good morning, I am Purnima and once again I welcome you to my class. Now student, I am going to continue the same lesson, that is Mother's Day. As I told you, Mrs. Pearson and Mrs. Fitzgerald, they were friends and they have their bodies. Because this trick is known to Mrs. Fitzgerald, she has learned this trick to exchange the body of each other in the East when her husband was working in the army. So when she comes, she is a next door neighbor also to Mrs. Pearson. When she comes there, Mrs. Pearson, when she comes near the house of Mrs. Pearson as her neighbor, she sees that her friend's condition is getting worse day by day. Instead of giving thanks and instead of showing love and affection to the mother and to the wife, these people, the people of Mrs. Pearson, like her husband, her son, her daughter, day by day they are insulting her. Mrs. Fitzgerald, she did not like that, but at the same time, she did not want to interfere first because she thought, let Mrs. Pearson tell her all by himself. One day, Mrs. Fitzgerald visited to her friend's house and she sits there and Mrs. Pearson, when she know that she is a fortune teller, she tells her that tell about her fortune also. Mrs. Fitzgerald, she catches her hand and she tells everything about the fortune of Mrs. Fitzgerald, Mrs. Pearson. And she told that you are the only responsible for your condition. If you will not control them, if you will not dominate them, your condition will become worse like a serpent in your own house. Now, children, Mrs. Pearson at first she agrees, but then she don't know how to start. She don't know how to tackle them, how to face their tantrums and all that thing. So Mrs. Fitzgerald, she wanted to help her friend. She told me, okay, I know a trick that I've learned in the East when my husband was there in the left. He was lieutenant in the army. I've learned there this trick. This trick is to exchange the body. That for some time I will become Mrs. Pearson and you will become Mrs. Fitzgerald, and then I can take in everything in your house. At once, Mrs. Pearson did not get ready, but Mrs. Fitzgerald insisted her, and finally she became ready. Okay, they caught the hand of each other. They started looking at each other's eyes. Mrs. Fitzgerald, she mumbles some word, and finally Mrs. Pearson became Mrs. Fitzgerald, and Mrs. Fitzgerald became Pearson. She went to her house to bring everybody in the track. In the beginning, Doris is seen there. Doris says that mother, she comes to the house and she orders for a tea, and she tell her mother to iron her yellow dress because as she has to go outside. Mrs. Pearson, she completely refused. She told, I don't want to prepare tea and I am not doing your ironing also of your yellow silk. And she asked her, where do you want to go? She tells, I want like to go with my boyfriend. She makes fun of her boyfriend also. Indirectly, she insult her boyfriend also. Doris, she is all in tears, and then her Mrs. Pearson's son come. He also ordered for tea and she refuses. He had given some work to Mrs. Fitzgerald, Mrs. Pearson in the morning, and Mrs. Pearson told him, she promised him that she will put all her big belonging in the bag. When the son asked that whether she has put, she refuses. She told, yeah, she has actually forgotten to put. Now both son and daughter, they are very much astonished by her this situation of Mrs. Fitzgerald, as she is the lady of the house who never used to drink and who never used to smoke, but that day she was doing all that thing. And not only that, she was refusing everybody. Now both brother and sister, they are very much surprised, and let's see what they are talking with each other. Cyril staggered. Do you mean she is barmy? Barmy means mad or cry. So what is the meaning of barmy? Mad or cry. Barmy means mad or cry. Amazed, he asks Doris if she means that their mother has grown crazy. Now he tells his feeling with Doris Pearson whether don't you feel that her mother has grown crazy? Doris, no, you fathead. You know, concussion she might have. Now, children, concussion. Concussion is a violent shock as from heavy blow. So, concussion is a shock due to blow, due to heavy blow. So, this daughter is telling she has gone crazy because she is having a concussion, a violent shock as from heavy blow. Doris suggests that she might be in shock after having hit her head somewhere. Cyril, sound far-fetched. Far-fetched is convincing. Cyril, here his son is telling it sounds to me as if it is true, it is convincing. Cyril thinks that Doris is not being reasonable. Doris, well, she is far-fetched if you ask me. She suddenly begins to giggle. Giggle means to chuckle, to laugh. Doris Shell, she is with a light-hearted laughter. Doris comment that she is finding her mother to be irritated at the moment. Now then, what is it? Cyril asks her what she means. Doris, if she is going to be like this when dad come home. Now, children, she is telling. Doris is telling for us is okay, but what will happen to dad when he will come home, and if she will behave with him like that, then what will happen? And she started laughing again. Cyril, beginning to guffaw. Guffaw is a loud and hearty laugh. Guffaw, a loud and hearty laugh. That means to laugh very loudly. So when Cyril think that imagine that if her mother will behave like this when her father will come, then what will be the condition? And he started laughing loudly. Mrs. Pearson enters, right? Suddenly Mrs. Pearson, she enters carrying a bottle of stout and a half-filled glass. Now she was having a drink in her hand and a half-filled glass. Cyril and Doris tried to stop their guffing and giggling, but they are not quick enough. Mrs. Pearson regarded them with contempt. Now, children, but they wanted to hide their laugh, but Mrs. Pearson, she uh, saw all this thing and she was full of contempt. Mrs. Pearson is asking coldly, you two are always talking about being grown up. Why don't you both try for once to be your age? She moves to the settee and sit. Now, settee is a long upholstered seat for more than one person. So, Mrs. Person, when she enters a room with a glass in her hand, she had a drink, she was drinking. They failed at controlling their laughter, and Mrs. Person ridicules them. She makes fun of them. While moving toward her settee, she talks about how both of them regard themselves as grown up and mature and asks them to behave and be responsible like people of their age. So she tells that now you people tell that you are a grown up, but you are not acting according to your age. Cyril, can't we laugh now? Cyril asked Mrs. Pearson, can we laugh there at that time? Mrs. Pearson, yes, it's funny. Go on, tell me, make me laugh. I could do with it. So she is telling him, yes, you can laugh, and you can. She asked them to make her laugh as well by telling her what they were talking about. Doris, you know you never understand our joke, Mom. Doris is telling, but what is the use of telling you never understand our joke? Mrs. Pearson replies in an equally mean tone, indicating how boring their jokes usually are. She told, yes, I never smile in your jokes because your jokes are quite boring. Now, children, She rebuked them, she insulted them. Doris, she is almost in tears again. What's making you talk like this? What have we done now? Children, Doris is taken back. She is telling, what is making you talk like this? What we have done to you? Why are you behaving with us in such a way? Mrs. Pearson, nothing but come in, ask for something, go out again, then come back where there is nowhere else to go. So she is telling that they have done much except barging in whenever they want and going out as per their convenience. In between, all they do is make her work all the time, and when they have no other place to go, they come back home. So she is telling, see the way you people are behaving, going, coming, and making me work every day. When you don't have any time, you come at home and you just pass order. So this is not fair. Cyril, aggressively, look, if you won't get tea ready, then I will find something to eat myself. Now, children, Cyril is a bit angry. He starts shouting at her mother. He tells that if you won't get tea ready, then I will find something to eat. Mrs. Pearson, why not? Help yourself. Now, Mrs. Pearson, started behaving in a nice manner, in a very strict manner. She told you, okay, if you can go and eat anything. Cyril, turning on his way to the kitchen. Mind you, I think it's a bit thick. I have been working all day. So she is telling, Cyril is telling that he had been working all day, and this is not fair. You should have prepared tea because I'm working very hard. And Doris also tell that even she is working hard. Doris, agree with Cyril. Mrs. Pearson, 8 hour a day. Cyril, yes, 8 hour day, and don't forget it. Now, Mrs. Pearson, she tells you both of you work 8 hours a day, and Mrs. Pearson told, even I would like to work only 8 hour day from now, and I've completed my 8 hours day today, so I'm not going to work anything, not preparing tea, not doing anything. Cyril, that's different, Doris. Of course it is. Mrs. Pearson, it was. Now it is 40-hour week for all now. Now Mrs. Pearson told me what has happened, what I was doing. Now even I would like to work only 8 hours a day, that means 40 hours a week for all now. Just watch it at the weekend when I have my 2 days off. And she's telling, this weekend also I am going to take my 2 days off. Now Doris and Cyril, they are very much surprised at how their mother is talking. They stare at Mrs. Pearson, who returns their look calmly. And Doris, they get shocked, both the children, and Mrs. Pearson, she look at them calmly. Cyril, must grab something to eat. Look as if I will need to keep my strength up. Now Cyril is very hungry. He told me I must have something for eating, and he goes to the kitchen. He feels it's necessary as he would require the strength to face all these things. Doris, moving to the settee anxiously. Mummy, you don't mean you're not going to do anything on Saturday and Sunday? Now, children, Doris is very much worried. She's telling a mother, it's very much strange that you don't want to do anything on Saturday and Sunday. Mrs. Pearson, no, I would not go that far. I might make a bed or two and do a bit of cooking as a favor. Mrs. Pearson is telling me, no, it doesn't mean that I will not do anything. Okay, I will make my bed or one or two other bed, and I will do a bit of cooking, which means of course I will have to be asked very nicely and thank for everything. And for that also you have to request me and you have to thank me, and generally made a fuss of it. But any of you 40 hours a weekers who expect to be waited on hand and foot on Saturday and Sunday with no thanks for it are in a nasty disappointment. Now she's telling, till now you were only passing orders on these days, and with no thanks. So I was really disappointed. So this time I'm also taking off. And she mentioned that she could go for a vacation also. Doris, aghast, get off for this weekend. Aghast means filled with horror and shock. When Doris heard this, she is really shocked. She could not believe when Mrs. Pearson said that she might go on for a vacation this weekend. Mrs. Pearson, why not? I could do with a change. Stuck here days after day, week after week. If I don't need a change, who does? Now Mrs. Pearson told, it is actually I need a change. I'm doing a lot of work from last many years. It is not you people, it is me who needs a change. Doris, but where would you go? Who would you go with? Mrs. Pearson, that's my business. She's telling you where I will go, with whom I will go. That is my business. You don't ask me where you should go and you should go with. And she is telling she never asks Doris where she is going, with whom she is going. But she also don't have right to ask with whom I was going and where I was going. Doris, that's different. Mrs. Pearson, the only difference is that I'm a lot older and better able to look after myself. So it's you who should do the asking. So Mrs. Pearson told me, when you don't want that I should ask about you, so you should not ask me. I'm quite older and I'm quite grown up. I know what I'm doing. Mrs. Pearson clarifies that she is older than Doris and is in a better position. She's told me, of course, she's much mature. She's elder than Doris. She can think in a much better position. She is in a much better position to take care of herself. So it would make sense if Doris would take permission from Mrs. Pearson and not the other way around. Doris, did you fall or hit yourself with something? Now, children, Doris is very much surprised. She has never seen her Meharda behave like that. So she is telling, have you fallen there where you have hit your said head somewhere? Mrs. Pearson, no, but I will hit you with something, girl, if you don't stop asking silly questions. Now Mrs. Pearson, she is very angry. She tells her daughter that you will be, I have not hit myself, but I will hit you with something if you don't stop asking silly question. Doris stares at her open-mouthed, ready to cry. Doris, oh, this is awful. And she began to cry, not passionately. And so there is children, Doris, she get a shock. She never thought in a dream that her mother will behave like this. In fact, she is very much annoyed with the behavior of her mother. She was never dreaming that something this she would be seeing. Now Mrs. Pearson coldly, stop blubbering. You're not a baby. If you're old enough to go out with Charlie Spencer, you're old enough to behave properly. Now stop it. Now her mother is telling that don't stop arguing with me. If you feel you are a grown up, you can go with a boyfriend. So you have to behave also in a very mature way like a grown up people. George Pearson enters left. He is about 50, fundamentally decent but solemn, self-important, pompous. Now children, now her husband, George Pearson, he enters. He is about 50 years old. He is decent but solemn. Solemn is formal and dignified. Formal and dignified. So he is formal and dignified. So Mrs. Pearson husband, he entered. He is a man in his 50 and he is characterized by deep sincerity but is self-assertive. Okay, he must be a healthy man who moves at a slow pace. As he entered, he noticed that Doris is crying. He asked her what is the matter and is sure the matter won't be worth of crying. So when he saw his daughter crying, he asked her, what is the matter? Why are you crying like that? Doris, you will see. Doris, she could not tell anything in front of mother. She told, you will, her father, you will see. She runs out left with a sob or two, and George stares after her a moment. Then she looks at Mrs. Pearson. George, did she say you will see? George is asking his wife. She is telling, did she say you will see? Mrs. Pearson, yes, she said this only. George, what did she mean? Mrs. Pearson, better ask her. She, in a very cold manner, she told you just better ask her what she mean. George looked slowly again at the door, then at Mrs. Pearson. Then he noticed the stout that Mrs. Pearson raises for another sip. His eyes almost bulged. Now, suddenly, he saw that his wife is drinking stout. His could not believe his eyes. Okay, he gets even more shocked. Mrs. Pearson, yes. George is asking, are you drinking stout? She tell yes. George is very much amazed. What are you drinking stout for? Mrs. Pearson, because I fancied some. So she is telling, because she wanted to drink, that's why she is drinking stout. George, at this time of day, Mrs. Pearson, yes. What's wrong with it at this time of day? Mrs. Pearson is telling, oh, why can't I drink? I can't drink stout at this time of a day. George, be wilder. Nothing. I suppose Annie, but I have never seen you do it before. Now he's telling it's nothing wrong. Bewilder is confused or perplexed. So he's telling his wife that I'm very much shocked. I've never seen you drinking, and that too also in this time of day. Mrs. Pearson, well, you are seeing me now. Mrs. Pearson told, okay, whatever she was doing, forget it. But now you can see me that I am drinking stout at this time of the day. George, with heavy distaste. Yes, and I don't like it. It doesn't look right. I'm surprised at you. George is telling, I don't like it. It doesn't look right. I'm surprised at you. Mrs. Pearson, well, that ought to be a nice change for you. Mrs. Pearson is telling, that is a nice, very nice change for you. George, hmm, what do you mean? He did not understand what she was trying to say. Mrs. Pearson, it must be some time since you were surprised at me. Now she is telling me it were very less surprises I have given you. And she explained that it has been a long time since she amazed him. George, I don't like surprises. I am all for a steady going on. You ought to know that by this time. By the way, I forgot to tell you this morning I would not want any tea. Now George is telling me I just have to go today, and I forgot to tell you that today I don't want to have any tea. I don't want to have any tea. And a special snooker match night at the club tonight. He's telling there is a match, and we are all invited there. We will be having our supper also. Well, uh, Angela, he tells her how he doesn't appreciate changes or surprises, and this is something Mrs. Pearson should know by now. He then changes the topic by telling Mrs. Pearson that he forgot to tell her about the special snooker match and the supper. Also, he won't be needing any tea that afternoon. Mrs. Pearson, she told, that's all right. There is not any. She tell it's okay, but she even did not make the prepare the to prepare the tea. George, you mean you did not get any ready tea? Any tea ready now? George is also shocked. He's telling till now you did not prepare tea also till now. Mrs. Pearson, yes, and a good thing too as it's turned out. She's telling it's good also because you also did not want tea. Now you were going out somewhere. George aggrieved. That's all very well, but suppose I would wanted some. Now children, he tells you, okay, today I'm going out, but suppose if I wanted, then Mrs. Pearson. My goodness, listen to the man, annoyed because I don't get a tea for him that he doesn't even want. So she is now, children, it is Mrs. Pearson who is becoming very strict. She is telling, my goodness, listen to the man, annoyed because I don't want to get a tea for him that he doesn't even want, even tried that at the club. So she is telling, she suggests that he should try this behavior at the club sometime. You are simply shouting because I have not prepared that tea, and even you don't want that tea today. George, tried what at the club? Mrs. Pearson, going up to the bar and telling them you don't want a glass of beer, but you're annoyed because they haven't already poured it out. Try that on them and see what you get. Now, children, Mrs. Pearson, she simply um, reply him that the tea situation in context of the club where he goes to the bar to tell them that if he doesn't want a beer, and then he gets mad at them because they hadn't already poured some of the beer for him in a glass. She suggests that he try and see then their reaction. George, I don't know what you're talking about, George is telling. I don't know. He pretends not to have understood what Mrs. Pearson has just said. In fact, he understood everything, that she is humiliating him, but he pretended that he did not understand anything. Mrs. Pearson says that the people at the club would make fun of him even more than they did. George indignantly laughed at me. They don't laugh at me. Now George is telling, you are telling the people at the club laugh at me, but they never laugh at me. He gets irritated when Mrs. Pearson says that and tells her that they don't make fun of him. Mrs. Pearson, of course they do. You ought to have found that out by this time. Anybody else would have done. You are one of their standing joke. Famous. They call you Pompey Pearson because they think you are so slow and pompous. Pompous means self-important or overbearing. What is the meaning of pompous? Self-important or overbearing. Self-important or over. So Mrs. Pearson tells him that he should have known this by now. If there would have been someone else in his place, they would have known by now. She also tells him that he is famous because they made fun about at the club, and they called him Pompey Pearson because they think he's a self-absorbed and overbearing person. George, horrified, and he tells never. George is horrified at her words and he denies it. Mrs. Pearson, it has always beaten me why you should want to spend so much time at a place where they are always laughing at you. Now, Mrs. Pearson, she also further says that why you visit to that place where you are always laughed at behind your back and they call your names, leaving your wife at home night after night. Now she's telling you, do not pass time with me. Okay, you go there instead of going out with her who doesn't make you look a fool. So she's telling, this is your duty to have a time pass with me. I'm your wife. Instead what you do, you just leave me in the house and you go to that place where everybody makes fun of you, everybody laughs at you, and at least I don't make a fool of you, I don't laugh like you. Suddenly, Cyril enters right with a glass of milk in one hand and a thick slice of cake in the other. George almost just turns to him appingly. Now, George, he is confused and turns to look at Cyril. George, here, Cyril, you have been with me to the club once or twice. They don't laugh at me and call me Pompey Pearson, do they? Cyril, embarrassed, hesitate angrily. Go on, tell me, do they? Cyril, he's a bit embarrassed. He said, yes, well, yes, Dad. I'm afraid they do. Now, Cyril tell, yes, Dad, they do call you. And Cyril, George slowly looks from one to the other, staggered. Staggered is astonished or deeply shocked. Astonished or deeply shocked. Okay. Though uneasily, he told George that they indeed call him name George. Well, I will be damned. George exits left slowly, almost as if somebody had hit him over the head. Silently, after watching him go, turns indignantly to Mrs. Pearson. Cyril, now you should have told me. You should not have told him that, Mum. That's not fair. You have hurt his feeling. Mine too. Now, children, Cyril, he tell his mother that you have you're simply hurting our feeling. You should not have told him this thing. He is deeply hurt. Mrs. Pearson, sometimes it does people good to have their feeling hurt. The truth ought to hurt anybody for long. Now she's telling sometimes we should do to make hurt other. If your father did not go to the club so often, perhaps they would stop laughing at him. And she tell that your father he continuously go there. If he should not go there often, otherwise the world will laugh at him. So children, till I am doing till here as the time is over now. Okay, with this I conclude my video. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.